Hello, I'm Danny DeHeck.
Danny, I'm Craig Wotton.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice place you have here.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh? We're here at the Intercontinental Hotel in Sydney at the Global Financial Crime Summit for 2024. And Danny's from New Zealand. And
Kia ora.
Kia ora. And for those who don't know Danny, he has been named by New York Times as the cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme Avenger. And he's not very difficult to find on the internet. There's hundreds of videos,
Yeah, I've actually got a bit of a hate campaign going at the moment. They're trying to stop me, so they've got a bit of what they call it fake news out there.
Right.
Which I'm really enjoying because they're quite creative.
Yes.
They're telling me things about myself that even I didn't know.
Excellent. So, so Danny's here in Sydney. He's flown over from New Zealand for this special event. And so, Danny, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with this and what exactly that you're doing.
Accidentally had somebody try to offer me a Ponzi scheme, telling me that they wouldn't tell me the name of it, but they said they're going to pick me up on a Wednesday night, take me to a special meeting. And I said, why won't you tell me the name of it? And he said, if I do, you won't come. And I said, well, I won't come. So he finished up trying to convince me to sign up for a Ponzi scheme called Hyperverse. He said if I signed up for it and bought one of their memberships, I would be able to afford to buy a house. And that's his sales pitch. So then I did a video about it and researched it a wee bit. Within 2 minutes, I could tell it was just a scam. So that scam led into a $1.9 billion scam. And it was probably the biggest one I've actually ever discovered. Well, it's not hard to discover a big scam. But then I discovered the power of multi-level marketing. And that's where I really struggle with people who will go to their friends and their family and encourage them to sign up. And we figured out that any bit of money that come into that platform, 52% of the money that people signed up for a $300 package went back to the affiliate or the multi-level marketers. And then it just grew and grew and grew. Eventually they rebranded themselves. I think just before we went live, you asked me what was the original name, and I used to rattle them off. It was Hypertech, Hypercapital, Hyperfund, Hyperverse, Hypernation, Hyperplanet. They even had Hypermall, which I didn't add in there. And then they went to Hypercosmos, and now they're called Diversal, and then Diversal was the last of it. But in the meantime, everyone that collapsed started up again under a different brand and gave people hope that they'd be able to trade their way out of the last disaster. It was all exactly the same.
Right. So it's basically a migration of people that move from one Ponzi scheme to another.
Yeah, it's like a wee hobby of theirs. And it just causes destruction, sadness. It's actually, Ponzi schemes are relationship destroyers. They kill your friendships and your family relationships because that's who they encourage you to get into it. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Invite your friends. Opportunity of a lifetime, not to be missed. Hurry up. I've forgotten what they call it, where you have to hurry up and do something. FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah,
they preach that, and they're in these Zoom meetings, gaslighting people, telling them that they got to hurry up and sign up now, or they're going to miss out for an opportunity of a lifetime. It's like religion, but don't get me started.
So here in Sydney at the Intercontinental this week is the Global Financial Crime Summit, and we've got representatives here, 150 dignitaries from various parts of the world, including taxation department, police, federal police, etc.
This is we've already had day one, and we haven't organised this, by the way. This is another guy's gig, but they invited me to come over from New Zealand, which is quite nice. So I flew over, and here I am. But today I was breathtaking. It was breathtaking to the people I met, bigwigs. We were told to turn our cameras off, not to film people that were on stage, because they were undercover sort of those type of people that know the lowest sort of people. The best conversation I had was actually in the urinal with the guy. What do you do? And I got talking to him. Amazing story came out of that conversation, but we did leave the toilet eventually. But you never know who you're going to talk to. When I first come up in the elevator, the guy in the elevator says, I recognise you. And I said, what do you do? And he was, what's the Interpol? And I said, "Oh, you probably researched me," but it was like, "Oh no, I'm going to get arrested." But it was a great group of people, and it's a real community of people that just don't like people getting ripped off.
Yes.
You know, you look for people who work in government jobs, and you're hoping they have passion about what they do, and the people here really did.
So the whole objective of this week here is to tackle this area of white-collar crime with a special focus on pyramid and Ponzi scheme fraud globally as well.
Well, that's what I'm focusing on. But I was surprised that they call it, there's a name for it. I'm dyslexic, by the way, in case you don't know, and I struggle to retain things I've just learned. Story of my life. But they call it, there's a special name for the Ponzi scheme scams, like a digital crime, or I can't remember what it was. But I was quite surprised that it was a major part of this conference. So this is just the perfect place for me to be.
Yes.
And networking, just meeting people. People want your contact details. Even the government people that were here want to work with the private sector. And that was what I got out of it today.
Yes. Well, it's a global phenomenon, isn't it, at the moment? With Ponzi scheme after Ponzi scheme, and quite often it's the same people over and over again.
Yeah.
The perpetrators and the promoters and the recruiters, and it's the same people setting up, almost it's the same software with a different name.
Every time.
Like you've gone through a whole range of names in the hypergroup, and it's the same model but a different name.
So what I started doing is documenting everybody. So now I've got about 300 people that have all been involved in running Ponzi schemes. I've managed to find the building where 30 Ponzi schemes that I know of have come out of, and I've backed that up with people who have got out of them, been accused of defrauding the company. They've got out of the company, and then they've come to me to tell me their story, and they've spilt the beans. So we talked about WeWe Global, which started off as LiloPay. LiloPay, WeWe Global, the blockchain era, and now what's it called, something Pro?
Zero.pro.
Yeah, and it's changed to
X-Pro.
X-Pro.
Yes.
So there's 5 name changes. That same company, I've been told, was developed out of the same company as WeWe Global. Sorry, We Are All Satoshi. Hyperverse. Then you've got VidiLook. You've got one that was called VAV. I do it like that every time. VidiLook 1, 2, 3, Vend. And I probably can go through 30 off on the top of my head. And they've all come out of the same building in Dubai. The guy who ran most of those was a guy called Sam Lee, and he was walking around Dubai telling people that he was a billionaire, and he had 5,000 staff working for him. And I challenged him. So 2 days after I challenged him and say, you don't have 5,000 people working for you, he's walking around the streets of Dubai pointing out the buildings that he owned. But never once did he walk into any of those buildings to show the staff that he had working for him. Long story short, he walks into the building he claims he owned with a coffee that was spilling on the ground, and the cleaner come in and told him off. And I've never seen a cleaner tell the guy that owns the building off. But he was doing a live camera event at the time, and it was just funny. You know, you find all these, when you watch these guys like hawks, any inconsistencies in their stupid stories, you just see what they're doing.
So you picked up on some element of deception.
Yeah, it was just crazy. And then we got people who dobbed us in, gave us his driver's phone number. So then we found out where he was living. We found out he was living with his mum and his sister. And then we even had some, I won't say from what organisation, it wasn't a law enforcement, but let's say it was media. They wanted to go around and visit him so they could interview him. So I gave them their address. They sent people over there to interview him, but they couldn't get him, but they did go to the addresses I gave them, and it was where he was living, but it just, could have turned into a good story.
So what's the big attraction with the hypergroup then, with Sam Lee?
Oh, it's addictive. It's definitely addictive. They're all holding hands, and they all seem to be... I don't believe that Sam Lee is the guy behind it all. There's another guy called Ryan Jur. I believe he's quite heavily involved, but I believe there's an organisation called Hypertech Group, because I've seen 4 years ago they had a business, like a white paper of the company structure, and it teared down, and Sam Lee and Ryan Jur were at this level, not this level. So I just assume, I still feel that they're working for something like, I don't know, the cartel style of the crypto world, money laundering, human trafficking. That's where I believe it all syndicates above. And below that, you've got the people who are the puppets, who get thrown under the bus. And that's Sam Lees, and Jarvis is another guy.
And you've had people around the world contact you in regards to the amounts of money that they've invested in Sam Lee's companies and how much they say they've lost. What sort of figures are you talking?
It's crazy. You'll get a phone call from somebody, and you say, "Oh, you talk to them for a wee while, and they'll tell you their story." And and you go, "How much have you invested?" Some people go, "Oh, $300," and then one guy one day said $5 million. I said, "What? Where did you get the money from?" And he said 113 people in his family all contributed, and they put $5 million in. He said it was actually more than that. And then I said, so you were hoping that within 600 days you were going to get $15 million back. I said, what gave you the idea that would ever eventuate? And he goes, oh, well, I used to walk on Wall Street. And I understand how money works. And I go, you understand now how money works? But they had lost all that money. And now then his family were going after him, trying to get him to sell his house to recoup some of the money. So it sort of killed his relationship with his family.
Yes.
Yeah, and then there was another guy called Mike Lucas, and I was in the New York Times, and this guy was in a sickness benefit. He had no money. His last bit of money was his superannuation money. He had $25,000. He put it on Hyperverse once again, hoping to get 75,000, and lost a lot. So I used to go after a guy called Keith Williams, which has passed away now. He got cancer. I call it karma. It's another word for it. And I was always after getting this guy's money back for him. Even like just last week he messaged me, this is 2 years ago, how you going, Danny, have you got any closer? And I said, well, yeah, I told him that Sam Lee had been detained in Dubai.
And this is big news in the last week, isn't it?
Yeah, most of my videos on my YouTube channel, I've got 1,700 videos. When I was doing Hyperverse videos, I got about 5,000 viewers on each. Occasional one will get 30,000. Recently, my videos only get anything from 200 to 500. When I published the video this last week about Sam Lee, it's up to about 2,500. So people are really interested in what's happening to Sam Lee because they think they can get their money back, and that's the problem. But the people that informed me I call them the men in black from America, told me that they got some good news for me, and they said it's all sort of a bit sketchy at the moment, but we hear that he's been detained in Dubai. And I'm going, wow, that's cool. And there was also another lady who was the chief compliance officer for Hyperverse. They've also detained her in England. But what this means is, this is 2 years later, and I got told when I first got involved in doing all this sort of stuff, that if anything's going to happen, it's going to take 2 years. I go, 2 years? And they said, there's nothing happens. So they've only arrested one guy and he's incarcerated. He still hasn't been sentenced, or I don't even know about formally charged. But the fact that they've got Sam Lee means after 2 years they've got this guy, and they said he will not want to do jail time. So he will squawk like a monkey to get himself out of jail, keep himself out of jail. And now all these people who think they've got away with this, the $200,000 they would have made, or $1 million that they would have made, they've gone on to promoting other Ponzi schemes and scams, and they think they have a right to because no one stopped them. But now we can go back and say, well, hey, look at Sam. He's just been detained. And now I do my YouTube videos announcing to the world that he's going to talk, and all these people who think they've got away with it will now need to face the music.
So the information that we've had the last week, and you're right into the Sam Lee case, you follow every little detail.
It's in my blood.
Yes, is that
yeah.
Is that Sam Lee's been detained and is likely to be extradited to Australia?
Yes. So America charged him in connection to the Hyperverse scam,
which was a conspiracy to commit fraud.
That's it. $1.9 billion scam. They're saying he's associated with, and they want to charge him. Australia didn't do anything. So I thought America might have done that because he's an Australian citizen, to prod Australia in the ribs. But I was hoping that Australia would charge him, because then they have an
Extradition?
Yep, treaty with Australia and Dubai, but not Dubai with America. So we figured that first of all they'll get him back to Australia, because he had a crypto exchange that defrauded people by 58 million. fled, no one knew where he was, went to Dubai with Ryan Jew. 8 months later, he popped up running a Ponzi scheme called Hyper One. We didn't really pay much attention to it because I thought it was an impersonator, to be honest. Long story short, Ryan Drew's still in hiding. Sam started up another one called Stable Deo, which was meant to be some sort of real estate company where you could buy shares like you would crypto, and you could buy a part of a building. And they tried to raise 10 million, 20 million to get it going. They only raised 200,000, didn't work. So that was Sam's company, Stable Opinion. And then they had a multi-level marketing structure to it as well. Right. And that morphed into We Are All Satoshi. We Are All Satoshi, they claim to have 250,000 active members. Just all the figures don't add up, because you go into these Zoom meetings and they'll have 400 or 500 people, and they claim to have 250,000 members. It's just inflated hype. But we've been watching the blockchain, all the figures, and we've tracked from that company, $350 million have gone into their super wallet address, and then we see it all getting moved from one wallet to another, and then we see 2.2 million, 2.4 million, 2.3 million it was, and then they lift all that money off and it goes into Binance. Poof, don't know where it's gone.
So being your focus being crypto,
yeah,
and in particular Ponzi schemes, what is your view of what crypto is?
Oh, well, in one word, probably a disruptor. You know, a lot of people think I don't like crypto, and I go, well, I've got a little bit of crypto, nothing, you know.
Which I found a bit of a shock when you mentioned that you had some crypto, where I'm a complete opposite. I don't subscribe to crypto at all.
Oh, well, do you know where my crypto come from? Donations.
Right, well, that might be a little bit different to putting your own money into it.
Yeah. So, you know, somebody gave me a poll. I did a video about Mr. Hart, what's his name? Hex Coin, Richard Hart. And I just basically asked that question, is it a scam or is it legit? And I had all these people go off at me, sort of like, because they're really passionate about him and what he stands for. You know, he's like power for the people. And I befriended some guys that sort of worship what he's doing, and they actually they gave me a Pulse coin. And it's worth $160 New Zealand. And I had this Pulse coin for 3 weeks, and it went down to $100, and then went down to $82. And 2 days ago, it went up to, I think, $360. So it's it's high risk.
Of course.
But I'm not, these Ponzi schemes, they use crypto as the currency to buy the package that doesn't have anything. There's no product. But if you just like, you want to buy this here, this is $400 for you to buy. As soon as you give me the $400, 60% of that money goes in my back pocket.
We'll be right back.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Don't go to sleep on me. That's an elephant. I don't know why, but I like elephants. I think it's because my mum said no one's talking about the elephant in the room. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, and you don't want to or even think about changing the record. I've got some really cool sound effects, and I just had to find a place to use them. I can do explosions. I've even got a gunshot and a boom. Isn't that quite cool? Anyway, I just wanted to wake you up. Wake up, and we'll get into it. And by the way, just grab a drink. I'm going to grab a glass of champagne. Let's carry on. That's good. All right. Grab a coffee if you like one as well.
Yeah, so instantly the face value of it has to decrease. If you're converting a currency like the Australian dollars into a crypto, and you have a multi-level marketing structure involved, then the commissions that flow up the line have to detract from the value of the currency that you've just converted.
Yep. Hyperverse said they were building a metaverse. What rhymes? And they said that people would be able to buy real estate, NFTs, all sorts of weird and wonderful things. But there was no one working on this metaverse project. There was no money in the kitty for the project. It was all about selling something that over here. You know, it's like saying I'm building a whole lot of real estate behind me here, but I'm not going to let you see it. There's no construction going on. But in the meantime, if you're interested in being a part of some real estate investments, I'll sell you a license. And then the license money says, well, if you compound, we're going to give you give me $400, I'll turn that into 1,200 and 600 days. And then they give you the big hard word and say, and when the 600 days is up, make sure you compound it. Don't take your money out. If you lose faith in the project that's behind the curtain if you take your money out, and you wouldn't want to do that to the community that you're part of.
And none of those parties that have invested that money have got any financial prospectus. They don't know. They don't really know where their money is. They don't know who's got their money.
Yep.
The entities aren't registered with ASIC.
I've seen old people hold up their cell phone, and somebody on there is looking at their cell phone saying, "Click here, put your credit card in here, buy that there." And they go, "Oh, so what have I got?" They don't know what they're asking of a phone. Don't know anything about crypto. They go after, normally it's the black African community, and they are it's all bless yous and and I've even been in these Zoom meetings where they've opened them with prayer. I stormed into a Zoom meeting one day, and the guy saw me there, so he stopped everyone and said, "Let's do a prayer for Danny," and he prayed for me, and he just made a mockery of what I'm trying to do while I'm trying to stop them from running these scams. And I think it's just the religious undertones of what they're doing is just crazy. It's breathtaking, but people seem to get into the zone and they just don't get out of it. They just keep going in it. Like most people who have been bitten, you wouldn't think they'll go back and do it again. But 60 to 80% of the people I deal with get out of one Ponzi scheme, go into the next, and they just keep going for it.
Well, I think it's a cultural thing. As we were just talking about, that many of the people that are in a group, they've followed a so-called upline or a leader that they respected. They may have come from a legitimate multi-level marketing company at some point way back in their past. And I've seen this happen over the 20 plus years that I've had some connection with this industry.
Yeah.
Because, other than the company that I work with, that I'm a partner with, is an investigative journalist company that's also partnered with a law firm that's running a class action lawsuit against a multi-level marketing company. But prior to that, I was involved in the industry as a director of a multi-level marketing company, and I see a lot of people coming from they follow the same people from a good company, but then into this side, which I say is the dark side, the Ponzi schemes, the pyramid schemes, and this is where all the harm gets done. So I guess where our merge came, where we came to meet one another, is that the Hyper Group, the Sam Lee Group, a lot of those people have now come together into a company called Zero Pro.
Yeah. There was a big player, the Keith Williams person I met earlier on. He was in partners with Kalpesh Patel, and they were a phenomenal force of together. And every Saturday morning they used to run Zoom meetings, and they'd have 1,000 people in them.
Yep.
An overflow room of another 1,000 people, so 2,000 people listened to everything they were saying. And they, at the time, a lot of people didn't realise that they were defrauding the company, but they were creating multiple accounts. So they used to have this 20 account structure thing, where they'd buy all the 20 accounts themselves, and anyone new that was coming in, they would feed them into their funnel. So they would get 52% of the money in their own account every time somebody purchased.
They'd position themselves ahead of everybody else.
Yep. And then I found a video one day that was showing Kalpesh Patel and how he used to structure. He's showing other leaders how to structure their accounts.
So how many positions are you saying?
21
positions.
Yeah, so the one was yourself and then the 20 underneath you. And then the company started saying, "Oh, you're not allowed to have multiple accounts. If we catch you having multiple accounts, we're going to kick you out." And then we went back and started finding out they were actually training their own leaders to do so. So these leaders that were advising people to get into it were pocketing as much money as they could. We've seen it's millions of dollars. I mean, I personally believe it's a $4 billion scam. When it got released in the newspaper, and The Guardian did an article about it, and they got charged in America. I think they said it was just short of 1.9 billion. But there's a lot more money involved in that. Yeah.
So what do you reckon the full extent of the damage that's been done with Sam Lee's companies?
What do you mean? Like
the full extent, how much damage do you think's been done? 4 billion?
Oh, well, I just think Hyperverse alone was 4 billion. We watched another one called Trades Technologies, It's been going for 8 months, and they reckon 91 million is what they tracked on the blockchain that this company brought in. So if you can imagine starting up a company and bringing in 91 million in 9 months, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, the people that have been following that, they believe that the company, they claim that their computers got seized. And then we thought, hold on a minute, there's no one saying that. They've had 2 cease and desist orders from the state of California, and another one called the Texas State Security Board, and they did an 18-page cease and desist. And now the people that are running the company saying that the cease and desist orders are fraudulent, and they have been produced by a friend of mine who's a YouTuber, and he's gone to the government websites and uploaded them. And they're telling people to ignore them because they're not real. And I'm going, how can you forge government cease and desist letters and put them on a government website and then accuse a YouTuber of doing so, and then tell people, don't worry, the money's safe? And the guy said, we can prove they're still doing this arbitrage trading, and it's just all rubbish. So we totally exposed that guy the other day. We found the recordings, put them on the internet, and called him out. One of my Avengers rang him up, asked him questions, and he just basically reversed everything he said in the conversation. So we put that online as well. So we just totally exposed these liars and the scammers as they are. They talk to one community with one voice and another with another. And they just, now they're on their back foot, scared they're going to get done.
Yes. So, the ideas that were put forward here today, what's the solution?
Well, we need law change. That would be the ultimate. They were talking about how they raid, like if Ken Gamble, what he does, he goes into these call centres and raids them, closes them down. Local officials with machine guns, they hold your hands up, don't touch the keyboard sort of raids. He said he's raided and shut down these centres, but they can't prosecute the people because the laws aren't often strong enough to do anything with what they've done. So the whole exercise seems a bit pointless. I've haven't worked with or for any government agency, but they have advised me on what they require for me to do something. And they will actually ask for an A4 piece of paper with the person's name, with how much money that they've made, and who's got the money, where the money is. They just want real simple, basic, I know where $5 million is, here's the guy's name and here's the address of the money, and as long as there's no stress to them, they'll probably go and do something with it. Anything that's complicated, I got told they just glaze over, and they're just not interested in it.
So the authorities are really looking for more support from the community, aren't they? People that have got to become victims of pyramid and Ponzi schemes to come forward and make complaints. And I've always said to people that get involved in pyramid and Ponzi schemes that the government can't act until they get enough complaints that they can then commence the right action. 2 ideas that I put forward that we talked about that would change this a lot and would stop this sort of behaviour, stop the conduct. Number 1 would be to block the websites. In Australia, the Australian Securities Investment Commission, the law is that foreign companies have to be registered with ASIC to carry on business in Australia. You can find that information online. But why do we still see foreign companies' websites, particularly companies that ASIC has already named as being unregistered and unlicensed, and published warnings on ASIC's websites? Those sites should be automatically blocked. If the public can't see those websites, they can't get trapped.
We Are All Satoshi. They started off with weareallsatoshi.org. That went offline. No one asked any questions. Then they started up, I'm pretty sure it was a .com. That went offline. All of a sudden, no one asked. And now they've got WAAS.network. I don't know who looks after network. However, the third domain name, so somebody has been removing them. There's no reason for any legitimate company, but the people don't even flinch. We had one of the companies, they were going to register themselves as a DAO. So in the state of Wyoming, you can register yourself as a DAO. We Are All Satoshi, just one Ponzi scheme, decided to register themselves as a DAO. They file it, and then they go around telling everyone we're a DAO, non-autonomous association, whatever it is. And it was just a filing. But then we noticed that they didn't have a public identifier on their website, which is the requirement for a company that wants to register as Dell. So we wrote to them. 2 months. They had 2 months to reply. They then looked at the paperwork that they provided and said that the information they provided was fraudulent, but still gave the company 2 months to reply. So 2 months later, they got struck off, and they're no longer. And then on the website, they said that it was called, I'm forgetting the exact name. It was something to do with affiliate marketing 3.0 LLC was the name of the company. And you hold your mouse over it, it shows you that they provided fraudulent information, and then you hold your mouse over it, it says it's struck off and it can no longer open anymore. 2 months later, they went and registered exactly the same company name, identical, and now they're applying again. And if you didn't know, they look exactly the same. One's been struck off because of fraudulent information, and the other one's pending as a Dell. So what's the use of having these companies registering if these silly, like the state of Wyoming, just decide to register any company, strike them off and put them back on again? It's just, you can't have any control over that.
No.
So it's a mockery of the system, you know.
Well, I think here in Australia, the moment that ASIC receives enough complaints, or the ACCC, they should go about blocking the websites. I mean, not long ago, I think it was Channel 7 that did a story on ASIC that the Security Commission is taking down 20 websites a day. But I still see the same pyramid and Ponzi scheme websites still up and still active, even though ASIC has made public warnings about them. So I think the first measure should be that that the government should block the websites the moment the complaints come in. And then the other way, the second measure should be injunction relief against the recruiters, against the promoters.
Yeah. What I learned from here today, something I've been doing, is I go into Zoom meetings and I cause so much havoc. I post into there, I go into their chat rooms and light them up with messages. If I can get my microphone on, I have pre-recorded messages telling people that we're in here. Turn my camera on, hold cameras up to the, pictures up to the camera, and cause disruption. And if I'm clever enough, which sometimes I am, I can brute force a window to keep popping up on their screen to the point they have to stop the meeting. And I've done that with up to 500 people in a meeting and shut down the meeting. The lady that was here today talking over here was saying that causing disruption, using AI to cause disruption, is a way to fight back. And a lot of the people is actually believing, I believe in naming and shaming these individuals is the way to go. I don't believe they're ever going to, I did have a court case last year where somebody's trying to go after me, but a lot of the scammers say they're going to take legal action, but never do anything because they can't afford to. So it's kind of like you pull their bluff, and a lot of the times when you're fighting these guys, but the people in this room today aren't far from doing that themselves. They're actually a bunch of disruptors trying to slow this industry from going out of control, while the law catches up with, what's happening. What is digital? You explained digital currencies, a digital ledger.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to convert a currency, the Australian dollar, into crypto, the courts are now hearing cases where crypto is involved. The Federal Court of Australia, there was a release that was done by a justice there, and Sam Lee's companies was mentioned actually in that release.
Yep.
And the courts identify crypto as data, and it couldn't be more accurate than that. If you're going to convert, say, $100,000 Australian into crypto, you're converting a currency that can be used everywhere. By way of what it is, it's a currency. You can use it to buy petrol, you can use it to buy your groceries, you can pay your mortgage with it, you can run your business with it, but once you've converted it into crypto, it becomes data. That's all it becomes. Now, in a case like an insolvency proceeding, where a trustee is involved, and then they've realised that there's some cryptocurrency wallet, a data wallet, the data's only worth what somebody else is willing to pay for it at auction. So if you've converted 100,000 Australian dollars into crypto and you go bankrupt, well then that data, that crypto may well be auctioned off. It could be worth $50 to somebody. So it's not worth its face value. It doesn't have any coins, it doesn't have any notes, you can't trade it. It has, maybe it has a lot of sale but very little ballast. would be one way to put it.
Another scam that we were going off the other day, they lost the keys to $175 million of crypto. That would have gone up to probably 240 million.
Yes.
Just with the inflation, but now they can't touch it because they've lost the keys, and that's their exit strategy. Prove it, like that. They're just saying we lost the keys. I mean, that's how it's like one key is how you secure your fortune.
What's your view of the network marketers are trying to convince everybody that crypto is going to be the future? There will be no central banking system. All the banks will be shut down. Crypto will be the only currency.
I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't really thought about it much, actually. The conspiracy theory people, that
conspiracy theorists.
That's the one. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I always, what amazes me about the Ponzi schemes, somebody will come along with $10,000, and they'll say, if you give that to me, I'm going to give you 1% per day. And they go, well, the bank doesn't pay 1% per day. And you go, but the bank protects the principal.
Yes.
And all these people hand over the principal, getting paid interest, thinking this is great. And I'm going, but what, have you got any, and they lose their principal, and they never get the $10,000 back in principal unless they recruit. So it doesn't make sense. And I said, imagine the bank going back to your bank 3 months later and saying that we can't pay you any more interest because we lost our principal. All the money's been stripped out of the safe. I don't know.
And the bank's not paying commissions either to a multi-level marketing upline either.
No, and you've owned shops, so every time you give a discount, that discount comes straight off the bottom line.
Yep.
And that's why giving away, like one company was selling fake arbitrage trading licenses on their website, where they said if you buy a $500 license, you could turn that into $1,500 per day. And then if you use that $1,500 to buy 3 new licenses, then you'd have $4,500, and then you just carry on doing that for so many weeks, you'd be a millionaire at the end of the year, so to speak. We worked it out, if you did that in 52-week lots, you'd be a gazillionaire at the end of the week. The company, when they launched, they said that they were overloading the Polygon network, and the transactions were too heavy, that they had to restrict everyone from trading, and they limited it to the people able to do 1 trade a day. The trading they were doing was making them between 20 to 60 cents a day. And I would watch, I went in there one day and watched everyone sign up for this platform, and I went through and I tagged 2,000 people. We tracked, they were getting up to 250,000 in a day, and they were all buying these licenses. We could see them all coming in. And then I watched that 90% of the people that bought these licenses never logged in and never played with these licenses. But the 10% of people that did were logging in every day to get their 20 to 50 cents a day. They did that for 4.5 months. And then the company has now decided that they're going to refund everyone because the project failed. But instead of paying them back in USDT, they were going to pay them back in BTCC, which is their worthless token, which was like playing a game of Monopoly. That is their own wee environment. It's a community token. And it was just unreal. And you think, well, you just been stopped. But the worst thing about the $500 is $325 of that money went to the person or the affiliate program. So they couldn't refund everyone in USDT because they've already given it away to the people. So all the people selling it were making all the money, and in the meantime, everyone's hoping they're going to do arbitrage trading. And we got the website. My mate was especially. We right-clicked on the website. We found a line of code that was 250 characters long, and they were mathematically working out that if you spent $98, it was going to have 1.1% times. If you spent $105, we could work out exactly how much money people were getting for this arbitrage trading. So we told the community this, and they went in there and they did 10 trades, because you'd have this the market opportunities, and you'd pick the one you want, and you'd go trade on it, and then every single time we'd say, pick this one, trade that much, and you'll get this much. And this was meant to be arbitrage trading. So the people would do it 10 times in a row, get exactly the same results. So then they trotted off to the leaders and said, how's this possible? Then they said, oh, we knew it was doing that. The next day the website went offline, and then they spent 4.5 months doing a relaunch. and big howdy-do relaunch thing. You know, Dubai, they had an opening, they had a McLaren car outside and all this sort of carry on. And then when it relaunched, it fell over straight away, and now they refunded it. In the meantime, we've watched $350 million come into this one company running one scam, and no one's asking where their money is. You know, there's just no one seems to care. I don't get it.
I think a lot of the time, the so-called leaders, as you put them, once they see things starting to go bad for them, they just quickly move to the next scheme.
Yeah.
And a lot of the network is just write off their money. It's like, well, we move on.
Well, there's another side of it too. These leaders are getting paid by these Ponzi scheme promoters to introduce their community to it.
Yes.
So they'll actually get cash up front. And it's like, and that's...
Backroom deals.
Well, Kalpesh Patel, when he left Hyperverse, in disgust that Sam Lee was telling him that they weren't doing whale trading, as he explained, and they weren't, they were transferring the money that was coming into the network into Bitcoin. He decided he was in disgust, so he left Hyperverse, and then he went to go to GS Partners. He was there for 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, something went wrong there, and then he started up with WeWe Global.
I think GS Partners, there was cease and desist orders filed in 18 jurisdictions,
Yeah.
Canada and across the United States, and that clean-up process is still ongoing.
Well, my videos, they tried to get them offline. They went to a Norwegian court and got ordered to get one of mine banned in Netherlands, I think it was. And my ISP told me about it because he had to block a page on my website. He said we've been ordered by a high court in the Netherlands to block a page on your website.
And that would have been an ex parte proceeding. You weren't there.
Yeah, no, I knew nothing of it. And I said, what? And allegedly they said they spent 40 grand doing so. And I said, why didn't they just come to me? I would have loved the money. Give me 20 grand or take it off and save half your money. I don't know. The people are crazy. Yeah. It's a vicious industry. I don't know where it's going, but I have in my heart of hearts, I believe that the last 3 years have been a warm up. I believe it's the connections I have, the networking I've done with the people I've met, and what I see. I think the economy's down at the moment. I think the scammers are getting desperate. I see them taking drastic measures. They're getting cocky, and I believe that we have a lot more clout than we used to. I think we're making a difference. And I think it's going to get to the point where people are going to see that these guys are liars because we expose them. And if one guy's lying and his friend's not lying, then both of them are lying. And it's just going to, the common, I think, like on these signs here, they said it's creating awareness, building strength, and networking with people who have had enough. And we're actually getting people that have been scammed. Like one of our YouTubers, who's a brilliant YouTuber, used to promote these scams. And he used to promote them because he didn't know they were scams. He was hoping they were crypto opportunities. Now he's realised that everyone's a scam. And now every day he's doing 2 videos a day, outing these guys as
Bringing
scammers.
awareness.
Yep, so we've turned them.
And exposing.
Yeah, and that's why I say anyone, I don't care if you've been promoting a scam yesterday, if you suddenly realise this is stupid, then turn with us and let's go after these scammers and make them look like idiots.
Yep. I think that the authorities have reached the point that now they've upgraded their technology and they've reinforced their regulatory to the point where I think 2025 we're going to see a lot of this cleaned up.
I hope so. I think there's a good shot of it. I don't know what they're going to do next because it's an evolving industry and it moves really fast. If you go back to this arbitrage trading thing I was talking about, now they talk that first of all, WeWe Global was doing mining with cell phones, so you could crypto mine and make money with your cell phone. Then they had these computers, and then they said, "Oh, we're going to do it cloud-based, so you don't need a hardware because they couldn't get the hardware." They said you pay $1,200, I think it was, euros for a phone that's going to make you money. You're going to have a phone that's going to mine for crypto. So these big computers I've got mining crypto are going to get replaced by a phone. How stupid is that? People bought that idea, but then the phones never turned up. They had these phones holding up going, look at our phone, look at our phone. And they were dummy phones. No one would turn them on and flick through the screen. And everyone pre-ordered their phones and never turned up. And then they said, oh, we're going to make it cloud-based. So cloud-based crypto mining, that's a joke as well. So then they went from doing that to fake, well, I call it fake arbitrage trading. And now they're doing the one that was just released the other day, was trading on the exchange. What do they call it? There's a special name for it. Day trading sort of style. But software to enable you to do that. And you just see them, they just go from one thing to the next idea, concept, and exploit it. And it just gets a bit tiring. Like there's apps. Now they've got a fitness app that I'm laughing at the moment. It's called Get Fit. And they're rebranding it to Move Quest because they can't get it on the Apple Store. But they've been telling people that their app's going to be on the Apple Store in a few weeks. But because it's multi-level marketing associated with this app they produce, Apple go, no, we're not having multi-level marketing. So now they're going to go, we're going to rebrand the company, have another go at it, but this time instead of calling it multi-level marketing, we're going to sell affiliate marketing. And then Apple won't mind. But in the meantime, they keep selling their token. So their token was worth over $100. And we've got a bit of a joke going on with my Avengers. It's worth $11.25 today.
Yes.
And they're losing it. But in the meantime, they said, but when the new app comes out, it's just going to skyrocket. And the fact that we've lost $90 a token, wherever it is, it's now our coin is stabilised, and it's good foundation. And that was what they said last week when it was at $20. And now it's down to $11. And people are just losing money. But
very volatile.
But the point is, in the last 3 or 4 months, so their leaders said they've paid $15 million out to the community. And what that means is they've paid $15 million to the people that are promoting it in commissions. But the token doesn't matter. The project doesn't matter. And it's a fitness app. So it's just, the product's not there. But the idea of selling the concept to somebody and getting that multi-level marketing dollar in is what that's the scam.
So from this conference and everything that's been said today, you get the feeling that 2025 will be the big clean-up year. That's what I think.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I love what I do. It doesn't make me money. People think my motive is money. I'll probably find money in it one day. But I think my passion is, I was brought up in a religious cult. And I used to listen to the elders and the ministerial servants talk on the stage and gaslight us into telling us that all the wicked people would be destroyed at Armageddon and all the righteous people would inherit the earth forever. That's what I got taught. And my family, I've lost 2 people in my family because of the religion. And when I come and see these Zoom meetings with all these crypto Zoom meetings, they're exactly the same. They gaslight the community. They promise things that are never going to eventuate. And unfortunately, I have heard a lot of people who aren't with us anymore because they haven't got what they said they were promised, and they've put their life fortune, they've mortgaged their house, they've maxed out their credit cards, and they believe these people because they've been gaslighted too. They are part of the community. As soon as you stand up to the community, they kick you out. Same thing as what happened with me with the religion. And I'm personally sick to death of it, and I just want to, create as much awareness around it. And it comes at a toll. I don't know about you, I think you're pretty much the same as me. I spend at least 70, 80 hours a week going after these scammers. It's about 12 o'clock at night now. We're 10:30, it's 12:30 in New Zealand for me now. But often I'll go to bed at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and creep out of bed at 7 a.m. to run a show. And you can't keep going like that, but I'm so passionate about it that I want to see, and I do believe what I've seen over the last 3 years, I feel like we're actually getting somewhere now. That, people are aware of it. Great network of people, 150 delegates from around the world getting together with a common interest to go after these bottom feeders of the world. And I think we definitely can make a difference.
And I think that's very revealing, that having this event here, it will lead into more regulatory action, more regulatory power and strength to shut down these sort of schemes and to avoid consumers getting caught up and marketers getting caught up and losing their life savings. I mean, these sort of schemes, these pyramid and the Ponzi schemes, when you look at the Sam Lee situation, and you're an expert on that particular company, the Hyperverse Group, 2.8, you're saying $4 billion, Australian
with
dollars.
a B.
Yeah, with a B. It's a graveyard of people that's been left behind and with imminent financial losses.
Yeah, It is, and I believe that the world's got stuck a little bit too much in the crypto world. I'm entrepreneurial. I call myself a serial entrepreneur. I love starting up projects. I love business. I've worked for myself for 30 years. I've had fantastic years, and I've had grave years where I think, how do I survive this year? But I think the crypto has been a major disruptor, and I wish people would look for entrepreneurial, good old-fashioned business. I mean, building relationships with people, building up a client base. Today's market with crypto is you put your money on the table and it's a passive income. I mean, what the hell is that?
And not even knowing where the passive income's coming from.
No.
If anywhere at all.
Because they sell the concept. It's
Yes.
that paradise that I was preached, and that paradise that never will eventuate. Okay, we've got some great stories. It's like lotto. I'm going to buy a lotto ticket because the guy down the road won 15 million. Doesn't mean I'm going to, but the concept's there if I buy the ticket.
Yeah, well, the whole idea of having ongoing income, ongoing residual income, which is what's being sold to people in network marketing, it can only come from a real product or a real service that is being purchased over and over again. High consumable, life-changing products. If you look at the top companies that are in that industry, they're in the direct selling industry, they're the companies that manufacture products that people use on a daily basis. I don't see anybody involved in a crypto scheme or any type of unregistered or unlicensed scheme for that matter that ever achieves the time and money freedom that people that have built legitimate multi-level marketing businesses achieve. I just haven't seen it, and I don't think there's any subject that you could look at that you could say, well, there's somebody that's achieved that.
I'll just tell you a quick story because it was a good one.
They all seem to wind up in the same place. They wind up in trouble with the law.
Well, two people that are promoting these Ponzi schemes.
Yep.
We had one guy that was flicking through his phone, and as he's flicking through the phone, we see he had an appointment, and someone from Sweden said that appointment means he's unemployed because he has to meet this appointment every week to keep getting his unemployment benefit. He was on there telling everyone how to build their generational wealth and skiting about how much money he was made. Another guy was an Australian guy, and I'll say his name's Carl Miller. We managed to, while he's doing a Zoom meeting, we keep clicking the button to let us share his screen, and it was what we call Bob, mystery man I've never met, but he works with us every day. He brought up his payslip. The guy every fortnight gets $738.60 from something seekers. What do you call it? Job seekers.
Job seeker allowance.
Yep. And he's on the dole, and he was on the same meeting telling everyone that he's getting he managed to make $350 an hour doing fake arbitrage trading. So he's offering support every day. He's on the Zoom meetings offering support to people. We should be out looking for a frigging job.
I'm sure that Centrelink could be very interested in his income claims.
Well, we've notified them. We've gone to the ATO. We've gone to. I've written to every senator in Australia and told them about this, and nothing has happened. No emails back. Actually, I lie. I got one email back from a guy and said, not big news for us, but I'll put it towards the Senate meeting he was going to.
Yes.
And today we had a big chief on the screen there from one of those organisations, and I felt like going, wait, did you get my email? But, it's just so frustrating sometimes. However, it's not all bad. I just realised they've got... one of the organisations here, they said they had 90,000 complaints a year, and they said they just can't process that stuff. So they have to prioritise on the real big stuff. So I reckon public awareness, name and shame your mate who's telling you. Like my mate who come to me and said to me, if I signed up with this project, I could afford to buy myself a house. I said, you've always been a scammer, and his name, I don't care, his name's Ken. And his daughter-in-law came up to me one day and said, I know who you are. And I called her, here we go. And she said, I just want to thank you because my stepfather has ruined the relationship with his son, me, and I said they've just chased money all the time. They've always been the same. I've known this guy for 6-7 years, and they're just always striving after that multi-level marketing dollar. He's been involved in Milanuka, his wife, and I'm not saying that's a Ponzi scheme, but what I'm saying is they're always chasing the money. It's a love of money, They're just striving after it all the time at the cost of their son's relationship. But I was so funny that I thought she was going to tell me off for always naming her father-in-law, but she came up and praised me for outing him because they have destroyed the relationships. And that's what this Ponzi scheme stuff is all about. It's relationship destroying stuff. Who cares about the money? just, it's not all about the money in life. It's building those relationships, helping yourself become a better version than you are, doing the right thing, having ethics and good old-fashioned values is more important than what you've got in your back pocket, in your wallet.
I think it's good if you can achieve both, but certainly not with the Ponzi scheme.
The both will come. I often say to people, do I want to be a millionaire? Well, I think I'd be a millionaire if I really wanted to be one, but it's at what cost, what sacrifice, or, I've had some great years in business, and I love business and I love money, but I don't strive after it.
So what would you like to see the outcome of this summit? What would you like to see happen from here going into 2025? Where would you like to see all of this pyramid and Ponzi scheme recruitment activity come to an end? How do you want it to end?
There's two things I thought you were asking the question. Is I wish I had everyone's contact phone numbers on my phone that was here today. I would love to know everyone has their own strength. I talk about it like a toolkit, the measuring tape. Measure one, cut, measure twice, cut once. The sandpaper is a bit rough, but you can get rid of the sharp edges on people. The hammer, he always hits a nail on the head. Every tool in the toolkit has a purpose. Everyone in here, this room today has a purpose. So I'd love more connectivity, more, I like to be the guy in the know. I like to say to people, I know a guy. I know exactly who you need to talk to. I'd like to be that guy. So out of that, I don't think we're going to ever get a perfect situation coming out of a meeting here. But if we don't discuss it, review it, celebrate the wins, readjust where we made mistakes, we're never going to get better. But I just think, I wish there was more swifter action. I wish you could, like you said, if you just turned the friggin' domain name off. Like one thing I really like at the moment, YouTube. They let people promote their scams on YouTube. So why doesn't YouTube do the right thing? If I put copyrighted music on a song, within 20 minutes I'll get an email saying, oi, you're not allowed to use that. Why don't you use AI to listen to these meetings and figure out whether they're providing financial advice to people when they're not regulated financial advisors? Why does Zoom allow people to run fraudulent meetings when it's even in their Section 8 of Zoom's meetings says that you're not allowed to promote multi-level marketing using their platform? So we used to get Zoom shut down. The Zoom meeting shut down. We used to write to Zoom and say, hey, Section 8 of your clause says you're not allowed to do this. This guy's got a screen up here, his screenshots, and we had 100 of these meetings shut down over about a 3-month period. And now they ignore us and they've banned me on Zoom. Because when I shared that guy's payslip with his how much he earned, they said I broke the privacy rules of their terms and conditions. So now my computer MAC address has been blocked. My phone, I can't use Zoom. So they blocked me.
It's interesting, isn't it?
What's that?
It's very interesting. You go onto YouTube and you can find videos on top of videos of people promoting various types of schemes.
Yep.
And YouTube isn't shutting them down.
But when it comes to music and money, they will police it. Because they're worried about, I don't know, some musician going after them because they're using their song without their permission. So if they can put that brain power into doing that, why can't they use it on other stuff? Yeah, I think it's done good. I feel good about it. Yeah, I mean, I've been to a few things, and I haven't been to as probably many seminars as you, but this is the one I was looking forward to, and to be invited to come along to here, and be part of the government agents.
For there to be this many delegates and 150 people here today, this will proceed into an action, but it'll be 2025 when we see that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, the authorities are seeing this as a global phenomenon all across the world. Ponzi schemes that come out of Europe, Ponzi schemes that are coming out of Dubai. But I think that, the idea that somebody can go and start a Ponzi scheme, register the company in Dubai or Malta or the Virgin Islands or somewhere, and sit back and just collect money and get away with it, I think that their days are numbered.
Marshall Islands was the last one that made 91.
Or Panama, that's the other place.
Oh yeah, and they went to the when We Global started up, they had 5 offices around the world. We found 3 of those offices empty, and one of them was a co-shared office space, like not Regis, but it was like Regis. Regis is co-working shared space. One of them was a church, and there was no officers in there, and we went through the whole video. I've still got it online now, and they tried to get that video removed, and then the next day they watched my videos. They updated the address that one of the places was into a new address. So it was it was just crazy. But that doesn't stop people investing. I say to people, like, if you want to invest in a Ponzi scheme, imagine you're in a desert and you're thirsty and you're dying of thirst, and all of a sudden this person walks up with a big glass of water, and they're going to offer it to you, and they go, it's a nice glass of water, and oh, thank goodness, I'm so thirsty, but there's 1% cyanide in it. Do you want to drink it?
No, thanks.
Right, so this is what they do with these Ponzi schemes. We show them like 50% of this water is poison,
Yes.
and they still drink it. And I don't know the psychology behind that, but we'll find out soon.
Well, I think the relationships that are built are so interwoven. They're interdependent relationships that the same people seem to be following the same recruiters over a financial cliff time and time and time again. But the trend seems to be that people are waking up now. They're sick of losing money.
You know, actually, I must admit, I forgot to tell you, what they're doing now, they go to the next wave of people. They go to all the third world countries. And that's when I know that the game is nearly up. So they're off to, like Kenya's and Nigeria. Honestly, I get, and that's where it seems to be going. I don't know about Cambodia, but the commissioner was here today. But that's why I see them happening. Like in the UK, for example, if the banks have to pay, if a lady I spoke to put $45,000 into Hyperverse, and then she could have clawed that back from the bank, but then the bank says, well, if we didn't do enough to warn you about it, then we'd have to give you that money back. But in her case, they told her not to do it, and she said, I'll do what I like with my money, took the money out and found another way to give the scammer the money, and so she lost a whole lot. So when I said, hey, I can get your money back, go through the bank, and she goes, oh no, they told me not to do it. And I said, so you can't help some people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, Danny, you're doing a lot of great work. I think everybody that's watched this, that watches this interview, should definitely visit Danny De Heck online.
Yep.
What's your website?
Danny.co.nz.
And should also subscribe to your YouTube channel.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be good. I was in the New York Times, and I had 350 subscribers at the time, and I've got about 8.5 now. And the funny thing about the New York Times was, when I started my YouTube channel, I was copying other people's content, and you get these things called copyright strikes. The New York Times interviewed me over a 13-week period. I had 4 interviews, and 3 days before I found out the article was coming out in the printed edition, I just about lost my YouTube channel. So to protect myself, I removed 80 of my best videos, and then I got in the New York Times. People going to my YouTube channel and go, where's all this video stuff? But I had to remove all the good content in case somebody reported it. But now these days, I really, like everything in business, you learn all the time. So now I'm really versed. And
You're getting better.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm a wee bit unstoppable, which has been great. But my point is, we're starting to get a bit of momentum, and things are getting a lot better.
Well, you've built a huge YouTube channel, haven't you? How many videos do you have now?
Actually, that's the funny point. I think it's about 1,700.
That's an enormous amount of work that's been put in.
I counted them. 72 a month I was doing.
Yes.
2 or 3 a day sometimes.
Well, anybody that's even involved in the multi-level marketing industry should subscribe to your channel.
Yes.
Because they may not even know that they're getting involved in a scheme that isn't a good scheme. And your videos and your reporting on it could be the difference between losing money or not losing money.
My website's pretty cool because I go into these Zoom meetings and I have my bookmarks on my website. So I ask people to help me fight these Zooms by going into the Zooms with me. So now we've provided, the website's got places where you can actually report crime, because this is one thing people don't do. They don't report what's happened. So now we've provided every country of the world, every form that you can fill out to complain that you've been scammed. And then also we have all the Zoom meeting links, so people can go into the same meetings that I'm in real time and cause havoc or disruption. I think that's, and it's not illegal. It's just you can go in there and be a pain in the ass, quite politely. But it closes these meetings down, and they can't be smooth, and they lose their cool when you. So I think, like that's what we're trying to do. We're telling people that you need to do the due diligence. You need to, not due diligence. You need to actually start reporting these people to the governments, because I know they get them. That's what we were talking about here today. They get the complaints.
Yes.
But the more people complain about one thing, then they have to do something about it.
And I think if you're on the other side and you're on the government side, they'd be building files on known recruiters. People
Yeah.
are involved in constantly serial pyramid and Ponzi scheme recruiters. There's files being built on them, whether they've come from the hyper group or whether they go to some other company, to another company, to another company, to another company. Ultimately, they are known, and
Yeah.
they are being tracked, and they are being followed.
I don't know if you noticed when we walked in the door here, there was tables outside. These are companies that collect data. And I walked up to a guy today and he said, we've got some pretty clever, spy technology stuff. And I said, we need to talk. So we swapped cards. But I haven't got the database they have. But that's what they do. And AI is building that data. They said, we can put in somebody's phone number. It goes through and fishes out all this information about these people.
Well, you'd have to
Yeah.
think that somebody like Sam Lee, being extradited back to Australia, he gets called to justice. Justice prevails. There's no way forward from there. Can't create another Ponzi scheme. It's not going to happen. The name is damaged forever.
Well, awareness is what we're talking about.
You wouldn't see Bernie Madoff creating a second Ponzi scheme.
No, you'd hope not.
No.
No, good stuff, mate. Well, it's been a pleasure.
It's
Thank
a pleasure,
you.
Danny. Great to have
Yep.
you here in Sydney.
Yep.
And
Sydney?
this is the place for it.
Yeah. Good stuff.